What's up, guys? Hope all is well. Going to start my Diamond King series today. We'll be talking about and looking at the 1982 and 1983 series, just the ones that I have. I don't have them all. Like we've talked about a few times before, I used to do a lot of PSA runs of different sets. I'd try to get runs in 9s or runs in 10s, just kind of depending on the sets, that kind of thing. So these, I've tried to do the Diamond Kings in runs of 9s. And it's kind of more of a specific type of Diamond King that I do mostly. But we'll have some miscellaneous stuff to look at in some other videos. But I think this is only going to be 3 or 4 videos, and I won't run them back to back to back. I'll have my normal videos in between, but we'll do a little series here on Diamond Kings, starting with the original ones. As we know, Donruss and Fleer started in 81, but Donruss didn't start the Diamond Kings until 82. So those are the first ones, and they kind of kicked off the style that I really like. And then of course 92 and 93 took that to a different level, which we'll cover in another video. But yeah, probably 3 or 4 videos, something like that total. We'll knock out all the Diamond King love. But yeah, I have a love for these things, just nostalgic, and there's so many great players. But I have quite a few here from 82, 83 in my PSA 9 run, and they look like that, of course. This one is Roy Smalley. The backs look like this, and it's kind of interesting because it kind of preserves history of baseball, because a lot of people haven't even heard of Roy Smalley, but you start reading the back, he led the Twins in homers. Just the guy was good. 95 RBIs. It's cool to kind of look at some of this stuff. He was the #1 amateur draft pick, 24 homers there. It just, he was an all-star. Just, there's a lot of guys that are really, really good and get forgotten. But, having baseball cards, the cool thing about it is it kind of preserves that history. Then you got Richie Zisk. But yeah, I just like the style. I really like the style of these Diamond Kings. I love the banner. They're just super cool. How about the great Vida Blue? Just really great stuff. Of course, we know Dick Perez was the artist. He's not mentioned here anywhere. The Perez Steel Galleries do, get mentioned on other ones later. But Dick Perez was the guy, and did a lot of great cards. But these Diamond Kings are my favorite. So Dave Parker, there you go. Super cool card. He was awesome, of course. Hall of Famer. Speaking of guys that should be in the Hall of Fame, Steve Garvey definitely should be in the Hall of Fame, but super cool card there. Just a ton of great players in these sets. Try to get that glare off a little bit. But another Hall of Famer, Phil Niekro. Super cool. But yeah, so these were, the first Diamond Kings, 1982. Just really, really cool cards that I like this style, even when they modernized them. And when they kept this kind of style with that banner at the top, I really enjoy those the most. Even though my favorite set's 84 Donruss, and I love bunting, and the 84 Donruss has bunting in their Diamond Kings. Something about these draw me as much as any. The late, great Gary Carter with the Expos. Man, he was awesome. He's a really good guy, too. Another Hall of Famer, Carlton Fisk. Great smile on that one. These are just cool cards, man. 82 Diamond Kings. Another Hall of Famer. Great hitter. Rod Carew. Super cool card, man. I just love these things. I like the red, white, and blue stripe at the bottom. I love the banner at the top. I love the way they did different interesting backgrounds on his art. Dave Winfield, I love him. He's one of the best athletes ever. Got drafted in just about every sport. He was something else, man. shown there with the Yankees. Super, super cool. George Brett, the great George Brett. These are just such cool cards, man. But I love almost all the Diamond Kings. There are a couple years I don't love a lot, but this is where they started, so I have a lot of nostalgia for these kind. This one I had to pay up for. It's probably not as much nowadays as it was when I bought it, but these were tough to find in a 9, but I got the Ozzie Smith. Probably overpaid for Ozzie, but he was one of the tough ones. He's one of the big 3 in this set. So, but I got him, no biggie. He's the best defender of all time. And the late great Pete Rose. Love me some Pete. Just a classic Diamond King. The Hit King. Long live the Hit King. And then of course my favorite one, and it's not one of the most expensive ones. Probably the most expensive ones was Ozzie and Pete. At least when I bought them, they were going for a lot. But there's so many people that have graded this one, it's not as much. But there you go, Nolan Ryan, PSA 9 with the Astros. Of course, he came over in 1980, and this is an 82 Diamond King. Just so cool. Nolan Ryan is without question the #1 low hit, high strikeout pitcher of all time. 5 no-hitters, yeah, all kinds of wonderful information telling you how awesome he was. And this was only 1982, and he would pitch through 93. Yep, Nolan is the man. So yeah, that is my run at this point of PSA 9 1982 Diamond Kings. Now the interesting thing is the 82s and 83s kept the same basic design. The green in Donruss is a little bit darker. The hue of the banner and this down here is a little bit darker. But the overall design is the same. But the interesting thing is, on the back, they cheaped out. They got rid of this beautiful blue as the secondary color on the 82s. And the 83s just have solid black backs. They did add the made and printed in USA to the bottom. But other than that, they're identical designs. But I don't know why they got rid of the 2-color. Obviously I do, it's budget, but it's much prettier with the blue. Of course, I'm a big fan of blue, but yeah, so the overall design is the same, but you can definitely tell the difference. But Floyd Bannister, he was the ace of the Mariners. He was a great pitcher. Once again, we forget about a lot of these guys, but how about Willie Wilson with Kansas City? Another great player. I love these Diamond Kings because it really does remind you of who the greats were at the time, even though some of them have been forgotten. Like Britt Burns. How many people are talking about Britt Burns, but just, hey, he topped the club with wins, so forth, so on. He was a Diamond King, so he was doing something right at the time. The late, great Bill Buckner with the Cubs here. He was a wonderful hitter. Man, these look cool. I love seeing these lined out like this. Keith Hernandez. Really, really great player. Great defender, great hitter. Here was St. Louis. Obviously, some of these guys would switch teams later on. But, yeah, check that out, man. These cards are cool. I love me some Diamond Kings, and this is where they started. 1982, 1983. It was the genesis of one of the greatest subsets and later on insert sets of all time. The super great Ron Guidry. That's a great one. Great smile on that card. Yeah, I just love looking at these. Love looking at these run of 9s. How about Fernando Mania? Fernando Valenzuela. What a great smile. That's one of my favorites. That's one of my favorite Diamond Kings from these early issues. That's just a great card. Great card, great mustache, Rollie fingers. Oh man, what a great card. A lot of people don't realize he never would have had that mustache if it wasn't for Reggie. Reggie bringing back the mustache to the A's, and then the whole team in solidarity grew out mustaches, and Rollie ended up growing out his out with the handlebar. But none of that would have happened if it wasn't for Reggie trying to break the trend there. Speaking of mustaches, shout out to BK over there at Max Wax Stacks. A stashy stash right here. Jack Morris with the Tigers. He was awesome. That game against Smoltz was one of the greatest of all time. The winningest pitcher of the 1980s right there. More wins than anybody in the 1980s. Man, look at this. We have 3 stashy stashes in a row for BK. Willie Stargell. What a great piece of art there. Great smile. Got the classic hat for the Pirates. That's a good one. I'm sure Mangini's got that one. That's a cool card. Cards don't have to be crazy expensive to be awesome. I'm telling you, man. These things are terrific. 1983 Diamond Kings. We just got a few more, and that will be, this video will just be the 82, 83s, because there's so many other things to look at. But this is how they started, man. What a cool design. Another guy that should be in the Hall of Fame, 2-time MVP, Dale Murphy. What a great card. Great smile. Just a super looking card right there. Red, white, and blue. Matching that Braves uniform. Yeah, that looks awesome. The great Jim Palmer. One of the most underrated Hall of Famers of all time. Him and Carlton, I mean, they were just amazing. But don't get talked about nearly enough. But super cool. Diamond King Jim Palmer. Speaking of Carlton, he is actually next. There you go. One of the only 4,000 strikeout pitchers here with the Phillies. Super cool cards, man. Here is former Astro, former Red, here with the Giants. Joe Morgan, probably still the best second baseman of all time. Really great smile there. I love just the poses they chose for the art for Perez to do on these things. They are just really great. really superb. Next up, super awesome player, Carl Yastrzemski. What a cool card. Once again, just a great pose, great smile. Of course, they all have the action shot as well. But wonderful card there of Yastrzemski. The run of 9s is almost up. We only have two more in the 82 and 83s. Let's see what we got. Ah, yes. One of my favorites, Reggie Jackson. Shout out to Dylan. This is Reggie with the Angels. Totally reminds me of the Naked Gun movie. I've showed that card before, but this one is a 10. Now, the reason this one is a 10 is just because it came up. There was no 9s available at the time, and it was a good deal. So I wouldn't have spent 10 times what a 9 cost or anything like that, but a 10 came up for not a whole lot more than the 9s were going for, and I couldn't find a 9 at the time, so that ended up in my run. So you end up with a PSA 10 on the Reggie Diamond King there. there are some anomalies like that in some of my runs that have to settle for 8s or go for 10s or whatever just to get the run when I was doing all this. And last but certainly not least, still can't believe he's gone, but Rickey Henderson, 1983 Diamond Kings with the A's, ready to steal a base down here. Wonderful smile. Just yeah, talking about the 130 stolen bases there. Just wonderful, wonderful card of an awesome player. So I think they picked a lot of great portraits of these guys for Dick to paint, and they just came out super great. But that's the genesis of the whole thing, you know. That's where Diamond King started. They became very, very popular. They were just subsets in the sets until 92 when they decided to break them out and make them a special embossed insert, which we will go over in future videos. But that's it, guys. That's the 82-83 ones. Hope you enjoyed looking at this. Just remembering some of these old players that are forgotten, and then looking at some of the awesome Hall of Famers that you all know, and checking out some nice copies of some old Diamond Kings. So I appreciate it. Thank you guys for everything. Appreciate all the subs and likes, comments, everything you do for the hobby. And until the next one, we'll see you guys. Bye.